to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Treasurer Aldrich, will you call the roll, please?
Spencer Keenery.
Here.
Cameron Yates.
Here.
And Andy Williams.
Here. The minutes of the June 20th meeting are presented for review. Any additions or corrections?
I have none. Motion to accept.
Second.
Without objection, the minutes are approved as read. The next order of business are the regular claims for July 5th, and they total $402,915.82. Is there a motion to approve the claims?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have none.
I have none. All in favor of approving the claims for $402,915.82, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And aye. Motion carries. So the next, under other business, we have, Delphi Main Street and the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce, and they've asked to come to the board, to, expand the footprint of the good in Delphi, which is a good thing. Means that we're being successful in drawing people to that third Saturday of the month. JT, are you leading off, or?
I will. So we also have representatives here who do it also, so I'm sure they will share some thoughts. We held a meeting last week, had a discussion on how we can collaboratively come together, Delphi Main Street, Carroll County Chamber, with that farmer's market that falls on that third Saturday, that corresponds with that third Saturday for Do It in Delphi. From that discussion and looking at the previous approvals that we each had, which was for Market Street, we're requesting the Board of Works consider for Washington Street and Franklin on the courthouse side, that we would also have that as possible spots for vendors. And of course, we would obviously, again, courthouse side, so where the parking is. And then also too, the sidewalk could be some area for some overflow if necessary. And so that is our request. Is there anything else that you would like to do?
I mean, the idea was
With
with,
Rain from the Carroll County Chamber and Laura Rain from the Chamber of Urban League to do it in Delphi.
sure, so the idea was with the food trucks, they took up that whole side of market.
With just 3 food trucks.
Right, so then if you're gonna have farmer's markets, where are those gonna go? So we thought if there's a way to start and wrap around, so we wouldn't start with Washington, we'd start with Market, wrap around on Franklin, and then as we keep growing, then you go around to Washington. Just thought if we could kind of get that in our mindset to,
And that would just be for the angled parking spots, on the courthouse
Yes.
side of the street.
Yeah.
So there still would be some parking available and parking in front of other stores that would be open, is that?
yes, and stay off of Main Street, obviously, safety issues. And then because we have several vendors that Laura has been recruiting that can fit on a sidewalk. And so we just noticed this last month how disconnected everything was. So there were vendors all the way over here on Washington, but then food trucks are way over here, and it didn't connect everybody, so I think we missed out on some of that flow downtown, but that was just our thinking.
So is, not Sassy, but the hometown graphics and then Country Hair too, are they open on those hours that would affect their clientele or parking for?
They participate and Do It in Delphi,
So they're in-
Country Hair does not, but Hometown Shirts does. And if we're still parking people on the courthouse side, then they can still park in front of their business, is the idea, yeah.
Thanks. I went through a couple weeks ago, it's pretty neat to see everybody run.
It's pretty awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, it was neat to see it. The Cervantes brothers came, they were kind of stationed in the gazebo for a while. I didn't talk to them personally, but after a while, it's like, people weren't coming to them. so they had to
So
move
they
where the
moved
people
over there
were.
where the food trucks are.
Yeah, and so then we're like, okay, they're not moving over here to where the vendors are either, so somehow we've gotta get it more cohesive and, yeah.
So is there gonna be foot traffic actually on the street, or is everything coming on the sidewalk?
Well, and JT can
Minus
answer
the
that.
Vendors being parked in the angle parking and doing like the business part of it, but like the actual buying, selling and stuff like that, that's gonna be on the sidewalk only, not
This-
flowing out into the street, correct?
So I think we're still making sure the food trucks park where they would serve customers from the sidewalks. The vendors you recruited would do the
Yes.
same. I don't know about farmer's market yet.
That'd be my concern, is having pedestrian traffic out in the street, especially on Washington Street. I'm hesitant about Washington Street just because of the amount of traffic that
Sure.
goes through there. Franklin Street, I don't really have a problem with, but I also want to keep people out of the street.
Yeah.
Because I don't want business, business flow going out into the, Franklin's a decently traveled road in
Yeah,
the
it
city.
is. Yeah.
Not as near as much as Washington,
Right.
but it's one of the heavier traveled roads in our city.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And I don't want
So-
pedestrian traffic out in there.
And just to be clear, the overlap for doing the Delphi and the farmer's market is twice, but it is always on that third Saturday, the first and third Saturday, so that's where that overlap occurs, where we would need to
Right.
plan for both the farmer's market and doing the Delphi, so.
But I think if we, we just plan to start on Market and then work our way around that, not have somebody on Market and somebody at the end of Franklin, I mean, you have to keep them.
Yeah,
Keep it flowing together.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Would this be something you can get with EMA to get the barricades, as portable barricades to keep people pushed up kind of into the sidewalk area and not let them flow out into the road, like kind of what Brew does on football Saturdays?
Right.
I certainly would plan to coordinate with Aaron Lyons to see what we have that we could set out to help that issue, and certainly coordinate on whether it's barricades or cones.
Those wooden ones other than the water fills?
Yeah, I mean, just something, a visual barricade of something to keep people from going out into the lane of travel. That'd be my concern.
We had previously, I had discussed with Aaron from our last meeting we had, where we had the group from Market Street on the barricades, because we kind of walked through, hey, they'll be set up at this time, and then I asked him, okay, well, where would you like them at the end of that 9 to noon farmer's market, so certainly.
Then we have Market Street like completely shut down though specifically for doing Delphi and the farmer's market, or that stretch from Franklin to.
Yes.
Main. So
Yes.
there's no traffic, I'm worried
Yeah,
about.
they were
No,
on
you
the
weren't
side.
shutting the whole
We're
street.
They wasn't shut down, they were just on the courthouse side.
Right.
You weren't shutting the whole street down.
Because we still have to get into office.
Well,
Right.
Yeah, we can't block the other businesses, the bank, which, I don't know how much longer that will.
Into July, yeah, this
So,
month, yeah. ATM comes out later this month.
So, you were just saying, JT, the hours for the farmer's market are
9 to noon.
9 to noon, but doing Delphi goes on.
Whenever they run out of food.
Right. I
Typically.
mean, the food trucks have been staying anywhere between 4 and 6.
What are the normal hours for the businesses that are participating?
Well, I think I shouldn't say that, but I'm open till 4.
Some close at noon, some
Right.
close at 2, others,
Right.
yeah.
So it varies by business.
Right.
And
So if we run into an issue where they're on Franklin and it's getting later in the night and Pizza King now can't get people into the parking spots, can you guys shove it into a different spot, or we don't wanna impede our business.
Right, I totally agree with you.
Pizza King.
I mean,
on
we
Saturday,
could
probably.
say that it's over at 5 or whatever, I mean, I don't know, this is all.
And you might not even run into that, but I guess
Right.
if it does,
True.
our local businesses.
Right, I do not wanna hinder our
Right.
businesses.
We're tasked to do the what ifs, I guess, if you
Yeah,
wanna say.
you have to.
Right,
Well, and we haven't heard or read your updated ordinances that you've been reading to require the food trucks to get a permit.
Right.
What kind of restrictions will that particular permit cause? I mean, is it addressed in that, or?
So it is addressed mostly as a licensing issue.
Okay.
For the vendors, ordinance, and that, I think, has its second reading tonight in
Okay.
council. I'm happy to send a copy to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
To review.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if that actually gives them a time of day that they can't be here, that kind of thing, so.
Don't believe it specifies.
Okay.
um,
But I guess the idea, I understood from our meeting was that you did not wanna physically close an entire street to make sure that your farmer's market vendors park in such a way. And of course, course, you don't know what you're gonna get yet. Are we gonna get a truck with a trailer that's gotta somehow park and, you know, what are you gonna get, so.
I don't know if this county can handle another close street. Or detour.
Yeah, I know, it's quite a bit right
It's
now.
trickier.
There's a lot right now, so.
I know JT mentioned it this morning in the commission meeting, they were all about the gazebo and all that stuff.
Yeah, so to elaborate on that, if I may, so this morning I did go before commissioners to request, there's been a few inquiries from parents saying, hey, if our child has a craft that they make, if they come and set up for farmers market. Obviously, that encourages that entrepreneurial spirit, and so that's something that was desired. However, in looking at how this would be set up, what's the safest area for if a child brings some kind of a craft set on the table, and so was the tax maybe have it on the grounds. And so I did go before the commissioners this morning to request that approval, and it was granted to have it.
Good, use the grounds.
So
But nothing in the
that will be
ground,
another
you're not
charge.
sticking there.
Right,
Correct.
can't stake
It's not
something.
gonna be free, correct?
Yes, that's correct, Mayor.
Can't be staked in the ground.
And, where, will that be at the gazebo and around it, or?
Yes, that's correct. At the gazebo and around it would be that ideal spot to have the children set up.
Awesome, great.
So,
Making it in anything.
obviously, this may continue to change.
It is going to grow. I just wanna say that, it is going to grow.
Full settlers all summer, I like it.
Yeah.
But no rides, but I think,
Yeah, so I guess I'd go ahead and make the motion, go ahead, bring your guys' request for, and we can adjust as needed when it
Okay.
grows. But my emphasis is make sure we keep traffic, foot
Absolutely.
traffic out
Yes.
of the road.
On the sidewalk.
and our local businesses
Yes. and
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
accessible, so.
I said our plan will be to start market and
Yeah.
then
Work around.
work
Work our way
around
around.
as
Yeah.
necessary.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
That's second.
So we have a motion to approve the request to allow the courthouse side of Franklin and Washington streets, for vendor use on third Saturdays, for Delphi and for Farmers Market. And I guess now the kids zone, which we mostly be on the courthouse lawn.
That's exciting.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So at our June 20th meeting, Ken Apples indicated that he was pursuing another option to bring 403 South Washington Street into compliance without the city proceeding with the abatement. And he was to appear at the June 20th meeting. He did send an email, which I believe he has sent out to you, indicating that he's working with Atlas Construction and waiting for, I got a second email from him today. He had planned to be here tonight and have a change of plans. I asked him for a timeline after his first email, and he now indicates that he hopes to have the roof work underway by the end of the month, and that he is bringing in equipment beginning on or before July 11th, and will start first to clean up the grounds and then to begin removing the collapsed roof from the rear of the building. I told him in a reply that we meet on July 18th at 5:15, and we would appreciate his presence here, and barring that, he's not able to attend, that we will require an update in writing. So that is where we are. Let's see if he pursues it. In the meantime, I haven't checked today, but, his property is, I think, up for tax sale, if it doesn't, the taxes aren't paid, which means, you know, it could be sold, and then he still has a year to pay the taxes. But he is quite a ways behind. So, this is an ongoing saga, because he is indicating that he is taking action. I don't think we can proceed with the payment at this point.
I did leave him a message just asking, because we went down this road in February, going around in circles about it, or we can have something that documents that you did speak with them at least, and they do have a plan. That's more reassuring than just not knowing what the true story is. I'm not saying being deceiving, but at the end of the day, if Atlas verifies you making efforts, and that's what we want, that's what we're asking for.
And certainly by the 18th, if no action is taken place, you know, we're back, and by then we will presumably have funding in the unsafe building fund, so we could proceed with abatement at that time.
Hopefully we don't have to.
And that is really it for tonight. Are there any board comments, requests?
Just the 4th of July parade, it was a good turnout, the city did a good job, we can thank Murray for the parade and then taking it back down. So it was a good turnout, the worst day other than being hot again, so thank the street department for all the work, getting everything set up for it. That's all I got.
All the events this weekend, including the fireworks, went off really well. Thanks to Delphi Main Street and to the city helped to fund the fireworks. We had a donation from the Indiana Packers Corporation and from Rotary to assist with those the expenses for the fireworks. And the list was there, and I think they did quite well, serving lots of ice cream, one that wasn't as hot as we thought it might be. And while the fireworks were perhaps a little bit late, following the rain that we had, I wouldn't call it actually a rain, it was, yeah, it was a teaser, but at least it dampened the grass, and, you know, once they got some set up and started the show, it went very, very well. So, the fire departments and, police were present, police driving around often, and fire trucks there on scene, so thanks to everyone who helped with that event, and also, of course, with the parade. Clerk Treasurer Aldrich.
The only thing I'm gonna say to you guys is, there's no quick solution, but I want you to start thinking about it. We discussed it in the office today, the situation with the handguns that you can now carry. Because the city of Delphi does not have a court, we cannot restrict someone coming into our building with a gun, carrying a gun. We do not have panic buttons like the county has. And I don't know that the panic button is a solution. But I know there are times that there are extremely upset clients that come into our building. I don't think there's a quick answer or an easy answer, but sooner or later, we gotta kind of try to think about it and see if we can protect our own employees. But we can't restrict because we don't have a court within our building.
Yeah, this might be something that we should discuss during the voting process for the council.
Council needs to be
Of
involved.
course, we started out here yet this month, so. Yeah. Public?
I wanted to address the ordinance,
Yeah, I know everybody.
Gail Connor, 510 East Franklin, sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, I wanted to address ordinance 9513 on repair of sidewalks. I'm here as a private citizen this evening who lives in a neighborhood where sidewalks are deteriorating and property owners have driven across them and broken them up and dug under them to make water line repairs. And Aaron has come along and had his guys filled in some of these areas with rock to help, but it's really getting to the point where it's just in disrepair. And in looking at ordinance 9513, it actually lays the burden on the Board of Works and Public Safety to enforce Starting off with the determination of the condition of the sidewalks, which has been done under this administration and the previous administration with the Pacer surveys. This board has paid for the most recent Pacer survey for the sidewalk identification. And then it goes on to state that the board shall contact the property owners and let them know that they need to make repairs, remove and replace, and anything that is abutting their personal property. So I'm asking tonight that the Board of Works of Public Safety move forward with some of that enforcement. Specifically in the 400 block of Franklin Street, there are a lot of people that park there and then walk to the funeral home, and that section of sidewalk there is very torn up. It's sunk in, it's broken, and I know there are still a lot of elderly people coming to the funeral home, and that is a concern in our neighborhood, but it would just be nice if this board would move forward with the enforcement of 9513. I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Hearing none, there's one last motion to be made.
Motion to adjourn.
Without objection, the Public Works and Safety is hereby adjourned at 5:36 p.m. And the council meeting will begin at 6 p.m.
Recording stopped.